All right, boys. Our favorite game, D4. They did have a campfire chat the other day. I missed it. I really didn't pay much attention to it. From what I heard, it got like a whole lot of negative pushback. Content incoming. Exactly. It's got to be happening. Um, I've heard. So here's what I've heard before I even like jump into the video. They talked about how they were adding the gauntlet, which is basically leaderboards and things like that. From what I've heard, I heard Rax talking about this a little bit, and I'm with him. They're getting criticized a lot because why would you add the gauntlet in the middle of a botched season? Like season 3 has not been like, well received overall. Why would you add this gauntlet basically now instead of just waiting at this point until season 4? We're already midway through this year, maybe not midway, but a good way through this season. Why would you not just wait to launch it? Because season 4 is supposedly an itemization overhaul, like, but I think there was some rumor about end game boss content. I mean, I'm sure he's gonna cover this here, so I don't want to get like too deep into it. Imagine going 3.5 seasons without leaderboards. Yeah, I mean it's not surprising. But so I really didn't hear too much. I know the meta is just shit and say D4 bad, but I know he'll give a good take on it. I mean, he loves the game, but he keeps it real. Like he's no ARPG player is happy with D4, right? Like we all want to play D4. We all want to like have the urge to play, but just no like hardcore grinder is going to be doing that, to be honest, compared to the competitions that's out there. You have Last Epoch that just launched. We're coming up on a new PoE league probably in like the next couple weeks. They said end of March. Like there's no reason to play Diablo. There's so much to play. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe they're talking about the future of the game. So as long as they add content, this is a positive, right?
Diablo 4 just had their campfire chat and they broke down a number of things. They also showed some gauntlet gameplay, talked about what the rewards will be, some
Oh
of the
boy.
buffs, also mentioned some big announcements coming up for season 4. So let's get going. Okay, the first thing you're going to want to know about this.
Bro, I can already tell, man. Like, look at how just unhappy he looks talking about this game. Like, it just feels like the life was just sucked out of him, man. Just absolutely sucked out of him. Like, he's doing this because he's a big Diablo guy, but even he doesn't want to talk about this anymore. He'd rather play Last Epoch right now.
This is the gauntlet. Effectively, the gauntlet is a system of rooms. It is a static map, which will have shrines, has chests that you can unlock from finding a key, from killing one of the monsters on the map. Everything you kill will give you a score. You have 8 minutes to get the highest score you.
So is this like an end game thing? Is this like you can't do this till you like, probably like 70s stuff like that kind of time when you would start doing nightmare dungeons? Because if that's it, this is actually kind of a W.
That score will go on the leaderboard. The top people on the leaderboard basically get embalmed for all time at the top of the leaderboard.
Okay, so there is a leaderboard right now for this gauntlet, it sounds like.
In sort of their overall era, so you can see the very best of all time. And this is just very standard leaderboard stuff. In terms of the actual gameplay, what it looks like, you're basically just blasting through and killing as many minions as you can. You can reset how many minions are there by picking up these shrines that basically respawn the minions, and a lot of it is going to come down to your strategy of killing it. They showed 3 different runs, 8 minutes each run of.
This is cool. This is great. Honestly, I think they need something like this. I think there's going to be, tweaks and more things that need to happen with it. I'm sure, but this is great. This is a good way to change it up from just nightmare dungeons, farming fucking Duriel, and I mean, I guess that's pretty much it to do an end game. So this is good. I think you just need more bosses, but this is a good start.
Necromancer, sorceress, as well as a barbarian when they were doing these runs, and it looked all right. If you're wondering my opinion on the gauntlet, I think that the gauntlet probably won't bring people back that quit the game at like level 50 or something.
I 100% agree. Like, this is cool. This is like a good addition that they're adding, but when it comes to is this gonna make me want to go back and play Diablo? No. And it's like, and I don't even like grind it like that, so why would a full ARPG, player want to go back and what reason do they have to go back and play this? Like I said though, I think this is good. I think this gauntlet is good. I just think, there's got to be a lot more. This has to just be like kind of on the smaller side of like other big things, and then I think you would get a lot of people back on the game for sure.
Something like that, but the people that are still playing Diablo 4 will enjoy it. It looks like a sort of fun arcade mini game on the side attached to a leaderboard. I didn't hate it that much. Most of the people in my chat didn't really seem to find it that exciting, but that is sort of the gauntlet, and this is the game
Yeah, I stand by what I mean. It's a great small thing to have, but it's not enough. There's got to be a lot more.
play associated with it. Now, you might be wondering about the rewards. It didn't look like Uber Uniques were part of the rewards, but they did mention 925 gear with a very good chance to basically get Ancestral Uniques with it as well.
Okay, that's
so you're
good.
going to be getting basically the strongest gear you can get that is not Uber Uniques in the game as a reward, and those seem like weekly rewards. One of the other big...
That's cool. I mean, so that helps. I mean, we just need better ancestral uniques, and we just need better gear, and then great. Because even their Ubers, like I know they've increased the drop rate, but like you still need to be farming a shit ton. Oh, I did hear about this returning vampiric powers. This is a W. This is actually like that. You guys remember when Diablo sat there and was like, "Oh yeah, the things that happen in a season, they're gonna be seasonal. They won't be permanent." And then they put out actually good seasonal content, and then notice once it disappeared, hey guys, we're gonna bring that seasonal content that you guys liked a lot. We're gonna bring that back and try and incorporate it some way in the game. Like, dude, why would you even be against that? But this is great. This is actually a W.
Big things returning are actually vampiric powers. So vampire powers from season 2 will be coming back in the form of actual legendary items. So these
So let me just kind of see here. So 6 of them are returning, which is great. Not all vampiric powers were obviously like groundbreaking or anything. So they're gonna be legendary powers, not uniques. I think that's a good thing. They're not all exact one-to-one copies, legendary close matching their previous function. That's great. It doesn't need to be the exact same. I remember a Cursed Touch, Moonrise right here, and Metamorphosis. I feel like were pretty like they were definitely in the build guide and build that I was kind of going for. As long as they basically have the one that kind of like is sustainability, to where you are gaining health back on. I don't know if it was just melee damage or any kind of damage, but as long as that comes back, I think that's great. I think that becomes then a requirement for every build, and it's a positive.
These are the powers currently that will be coming back. You can see Cursed Touch, Blood Boil, Hectic, Metamorphosis, Moonrise, and then Dying.
Undying.
So all of
I think
them,
that's what it was.
no, your Hemomancy will not be coming back, but they're coming back in the form of just standard legendary affixes. These are not unique items like the Malignant Rings. These are just normal legendaries.
That's great.
You cannot put them in the codex from what I hear. They're not showing up there. They're just going to be affixes that you can acquire that you can slam onto gear. Here is an example of these legendary affixes so you can see sort of what they look like. This had...
Whoa, slow down. Cloud Bats becoming unstoppable for 2.5 seconds. Yeah, I remember this. This one's good. That's right. This one, I remember that. That's the Moonrise one. I mean, that's just massive for attack speed. Like, this is just good to have. Like, every build is gonna pretty much want to have, like, a couple of these, I feel like. Yeah, I mean, dude. Like, after you cast 5 basic skills, one of your active cooldowns is reduced by 3.8 seconds. Like, this is great. These, like, it's just a shame that we're so far, like, this game launched in June of last year, and like we're just kind of doing this now, but like this is good.
Of these legendary affixes, so you can see sort of what they look like. This had mixed reception in the chat. Some people were calling it lazy recycled content. I myself...
You can sit there and call it lazy recycled content all you want, but for longevity and sustainability of ARPGs, you don't want to necessarily recycle content, but you want to integrate content that people enjoyed to still be into the game somehow. You don't want to just have it, again, they need to change their mindset of play our way and kind of let your community just drive it a little bit. Things that people like, you don't necessarily have to keep the vampiric power set up that it was, but this is a great idea, putting them on the aspects, because there's so many aspects that are just stupid. It's like, who cares? Like, they're not even great. So it's like, having them be kind of like a callback to the vampiric powers, but having them be something that'll probably be essential to any build running like late nightmare dungeons, or this gauntlet. It's a good idea.
actually like bringing back previous things that people liked about the game. For instance, these affixes were something people did like about the game. This is part of what makes PoE great. You bring back seasonal mechanics and you slowly build overall everything that's in the game.
I know PoE gets that like reputation of being that super sweaty game, but like, and that's fine. I get it. It makes sense. But there's a reason why like people devote hours and hours and hours into that game. It's because there's so much to do. You know what I mean? It's not just, oh, we sit here and you just run maps all day. Like, you can do that if you want to, but you can sit there and go target farm bosses, or you can do the maps, or you can go delve, or you can go do like all of these other things to level and get good gear. Anything can drop anywhere for the most part. So like, there's just so much to do, while Diablo just feels like it's like rinse and repeat. So Diablo needs to be synced. They should have took things from PoE while they were making Diablo 4, and they didn't. But at least at this point, like, you still have hope, to be honest. Like, there's still a chance.
So is it new content? No, but is it content people liked? Yes, it is. They talked about snapshotting, saying they're fixing some cases for it, and in general, they're moving towards completely removing it from the game. They
What the hell is snapshotting? I don't know. What is this?
just don't like it. Some bug changes, but then also they mentioned here that the gauntlet, once you're within the gauntlet, you cannot change your skill tree, paragon, etc.
I mean, that's okay. That's fine, because that just kind of maneuvers around like kind of cheesing the game. And then the rest of the things is just stuff for the rogue. Of course, it sounds like there was an issue with the passive that probably was getting nice, but yeah, of course, I see somebody was double dipping. So somebody made a fun as hell build that they nerfed.
That
That's
the
okay.
gauntlet, once you're within the gauntlet, you cannot change your skill tree, paragon, etc. So there's not going to be like weird min-maxing of having to move your gear around and everything while you're in there.
This is good. That's good.
Enter with the build you want to use. There were a bunch of class updates as well. Barbarians getting some buffs, druids getting some buffs, sorcerers getting some buffs.
Good. Buff everything. Buff everything. Fuck it. Come back in season 4 with a whole bunch of new itemization things. Buff everything. You already have the gauntlet. Add some kind of pinnacle or uber boss, something like that. You're good. Like, you're good for season 4. You then can just kind of, do a mid-season like balance patch a little bit, because we know that's what Blizzard loves, and just start brainstorming on season 5.
It's basically the things that were lackluster, like sorcerers, incinerate, druids, companions, for instance, barbarians, early game basic attacks, rogues, heart seeker, forceful arrow. The necro minions are actually getting a buff, and they mentioned movement speed for.
Oh my god. There's gonna be a minions build finally. Let's go, boys.
Necromancer specifically was one of the things they also mentioned here. So you can see minion buffs here, and then they talked about movement speed a good deal for the Necromancer. Beautiful. So they're just kind of hitting on some key points that people have been talking about before. They also mentioned there are no plans to be nerfing the Barbarian's charge, though there is some nerfs, small things like 5 to 10% nerfs that are happening to the Seneschal pet before the launch of the Gauntlet, in order just to try to keep it as stable as possible. They also mentioned there is a beefy stream incoming in order to talk about all of the changes that will be coming. One of the primary things that they mentioned during this was the addition of a PTR will be coming for season 4. So that, if you don't know what that is, that's a public test room or a test server. This will be open to anybody who owns Diablo 4 on Battle.net on PC. So there will not be a PTR for console, just to try to make it as streamlined as possible. It's on Battle.net only, so not Steam. Battle.net.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
On PC will have access to the PTR. There will not be a private version of this. This is just something that the general public can access, and there's no NDA, anything like that. You can record, you can stream, you can do whatever you want with it. And the reason they're doing that is because they say season 4 is obviously the season of the itemization changes, and they want people to have access and feedback to that. Since it's such a big core part of the game, there's going to be a lot of changes. They want to have the PTR for that.
Oh, and what do you know? We're gonna let the public try it out and tell us what they like and don't like. Mind-boggling. Just let your community see what happens with the game. Like, I'm glad they're doing this. Like, I don't want to make this seem like I'm shitting on them, right? It's just like, why did it take this long? Why did it take this long to come up with these ideas? We should have been doing this. Better late than never, I guess.
TR will not be for every single patch and for every single season. It sounds like it's something they're going to be pulling out when it is more important type of information they're trying to dissect. Now, you're probably wondering when the Gauntlet's actually going to be launching. This will be launching next Tuesday. And in terms of difficulty, you might be noticing the monsters are level 124. They said they are scaling this akin to like a level 70 dungeon, for instance. And the reason that they are doing this is they don't want this to be locked and gate kept to only people with like level 100 Nightmare Dungeons completed, gate kept with Uber Uniques and all these things.
Another good idea. Another good idea. They finally like you let the players kind of dictate how they want to play endgame, and you're set up for way better success. Way better.
So they want you to progress with the Gauntlet and be able to enter World Tier 4, get a little progress on your belt, and then go into the Gauntlet and see how you get better as throughout playing through the Gauntlet. That was their logic in terms of the difficulty not being like the absolute most pinnacle difficulty in the game, as that was one question that did arise. Really, the big win to take home out of this, because there is some changes. I don't think the balance changes were that big of a deal. Some stuff that isn't so good might be a little bit better now.
Yeah.
Necromancers get some movements and some minion buff. Druids, maybe the companions are going to start doing something, and they're not nerfing the charge barb. But outside of that, I don't think the balance updates are really what people are looking for. What you guys are looking for is big additions to content, and that it will make you come back or not to the game effectively. And so as it stands currently, I think the people who are going to be playing the Gauntlet are people that are already enjoying Diablo 4 and already in the game. I don't think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to log back in to try out the Gauntlet, even though it seems all right. However, the big win, and the point I'm trying to get to here, is that public test realm.
You know what? Let the people that are still playing the game try the Gauntlet. Let them do the Gauntlet for the rest of the season. I'm kind of taking back and like rethinking what I thought about this. And like if season 4 is the item overhaul, and then they said that they basically need to have a stream to kind of like talk about what they're gonna do, like they might have something cooked up. I mean, they probably don't, but if they come out with like a fixed up Gauntlet, like if there's just like a patch basically for it, because it's a launch, there's always going to be something messed up with it when it comes out. So if they can have the Gauntlet like 100% figured out by launch of season 4, massive itemization overhaul, which they've already said they're going to do, bring the vampiric powers back as aspects, and then please, for the love of God, just announce anything, like just get another boss, another something, and like I think your season 4 will actually have a chance to do things.
Was something that was originally not planned, that was asked by the general public, and the consensus seems to be a PTR would be a good idea. So things like the itemization changes to you, the person watching this, can be tested, and your opinion can be given back to the company as these changes are being implemented.
That's great. You should
hopefully help these launches of things.
Lots
like
of games should do this.
Launches stopping from being as blindly uninteresting as season 3 was on the launch, for instance. So actually have that feedback before the seasons actually come out, etc. I think that's what season 4 PTR is supposed to do. I think the season 4 itemization changes are well understood to be critically important for the health of the game.
They're needed.
And I think they want that feedback from all players like yourself listening to this to be able to be heard, and they probably need the data to understand how good the itemization is going to be and to avoid bugs and balance issues and all of these things. So PTR will be coming. I don't think we got a date on exactly when that PTR will be open, but it will be for the season 4 itemization is when that begins, and it won't be for every season. So that was the biggest change I noticed out of everything. Some class updates seem all right. Small nerfs to the pet seems okay. You know, if you were a sorcerer, then you got incinerate. If you're a druid, you got your companions. If you're a necromancer, you gain some movement speed and some minion buffs, some thorn additions.
And if you're a rogue, you
gets their changes to the heart seeker, for instance.
Perfect.
And the other one I'm forgetting off the top of my head, but no like major changes here. Barb gets some early game stuff. Forceful arrow, that was the one. Barb gets some early game changes, so not like massive impactful stuff. But the PTR edition,
they also did just kind of like buff everything. You know what I mean? Going from season 2 with losing the vampiric powers to season 3, they did kind of just buff every single class a little bit. So another kind of mini buff like this, with then adding the vampiric powers by the time season 4 comes around and they kind of just have things figured out. This is actually kind of like a good time to have some just overpowered builds and have just fun with the game. Have people make busted classes and have the first season of Gauntlet leaderboards be like so screwed up. Like, who cares? Who cares in the long run? It'll just get people back on, and then slowly tweak it out. Don't let the super busted builds just run through and make it so OP. But yeah, I mean, it's a good idea.
Is really good change, and the gauntlet is all right for the people that are going to play it. That's sort of what it seems like currently. They did mention, I want to say one other thing. They did mention towards the end that they heard the feedback about cosmetics being added to the shop and about needing to add those into the game as rewards instead. And they said that they were going to have some information about that in the near future. And many times they mentioned there's going to be a beefy upcoming.
You know what they need to do as far as cosmetics? They need to take the ones that are in the shop and make them ground loot or rewards or something like that, because they suck. Because they're ass. Almost every cosmetic bundle that they've dropped as a transmog is trash. Like, there's a couple cool ones, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not gonna say there isn't any good ones, but for the most part, so many of them are bad. And just make better cosmetics. If the game's not gonna be fun, at least let people like have a cool ass transmog while they're playing.
Campfire chat, which is going to break down more about season 4 itemization, PTR, and kind of upcoming major mega changes. So if you didn't like season 3 before, the gauntlet probably isn't going to change anything for you, but we have information around season 4, which is really the more major changes coming to Diablo, PTR, and hopefully the updates associated with that will be coming soon on Campfire chat. They said in a couple weeks. So that's it. That's all you need to know for the Campfire chat. I'll see you on the next video. Consider subscribing if you want to. Like the video if you want to. It does help me out a lot, but don't worry about it if you don't want to. I'll see you on the next one.
What a G, man. What a G. Here, I'll link you guys' video. This was good. I do think he's exactly spot on that. I don't think the gauntlet is anything big enough to bring anybody back this season. And I don't quite literally mean anybody. I mean, like, a lot of people for anything like that. But I think it's a good potential if the gauntlet is just kind of like a small bonus that gets added in with the entire itemization overhaul. And I hope when they say they have a beefy chat with things that they're like planning on changing, I just hope it's like they said changing, but they also mean adding. I feel like I'm just wishfully thinking here. Blizzard mods were deleting even constructive comments from the last campfire chat. I'm done with this company in its entirety. There's a skin suit at this point. Yeah, I mean, this is pretty much an L. I'm not surprised though. I mean, the Blizzard is big corp. I mean, this isn't back in the day, so I'm not surprised that if they were constructive but had any type of like still negative, like toxic negativity, of course. Oh, this guy's got a good point right here. This is how I think a lot of people feel after playing last Epoch. I don't think there's any timeline in which I go back to D4 unless they do a total overhaul of that skills game. Yep, I think that's how a lot of people are. Promises. I'll come back when they stop pretending stash space is impossible, dude. Like, the fact that your game releases at $70 and you can only get like what is it, 6 stash tabs total? 6, maybe benefit of 8. Dude, you can get 200 stash tabs in last Epoch with in-game currency. With in-game currency, man. It's tough. It really is tough, but that's a good video, man. I mean, I hope Diablo figures it out. I really do.